Hello. Today we have this important 27th of January 2024. There are misunderstandings, and this is openly because it is strange after Corona pandemic crisis. I'm not neglecting that there had been a virus of a special kind, so that those protections in some kind sort were necessary. The handling wasn't right, but in between I had a friendly, I underline that, a friendly mistaken identity. I expected that would turn out as it had been in, it was before the retraining program was assessed in Ganderkese, that is near Bremen. So it was 2010 or 11. There was a kind of arrest, and later it was strangely handled. Later apologized. False arrest. And of course, here in Germany there are no mistakes. It is all put under the carpet, as the saying goes. And I say it with sarcasm. Till then I was believing at least the judging system would work right, and the problem is judges have put into place a so-called German Gutachter, entities that look close and stand for what they give as a conclusion, and on basis of that judges decide. That is different to other parts of the world. You must understand, if there then is something wrong in the file, you will be handled, and that in every regard, as it is if you were that actually doing. There was a false arrest. I was one day in a strange facility. I was not thinking this was something by all means negatively to be regarded, because better one false arrest than none at all. But it was the same manner. Here's the street. There was a parking space, right and left, and on both sides there were brown cars, caddies without both. And strangely enough, it was a strange color. I had made as a child a serious joke when my raising father had for the Rhine army the answer on his desk for cars. Cars used to collect, soldiers that were looked after, and those are not often those brown colors. It could well be that that were the same. I don't know exactly when he sold it, maybe 1992, caddies. the back door sprang open and two men with drawn guns sprang out. And what you do in such a situation, you make a quick think that the other does not use force. So lay down on the ground, hand behind your leg and so on. Because two drawn guns, there's nothing you can do about it. Then there came car, an ambulance, and it was nearly the same. So I now come to conclusions, something's going wrong. Because these are not police cars, not even unmarked cars, those are strange things. Was I mistaken as someone being a soldier and fleeing from duty? I don't know. An ambulance came, and then I was put there and I had a written complaint that was answered, and to me were offered €5 per day as an excuse. And that would have been, I don't know if they would count 3 days, 1 day there, 1 day put into, 1 day there, 3, maybe €15. So I know if I go after a false arrest, I would be reimbursed for my little trouble, being pulled away like a criminal. Neighbors see it. You can explain to a neighbor, one says, oh, this happens, maybe you were shoplifting or else. So what does it matter? And now this happened the same. But this time I understood something was going wrong. A day before I had a telephone call with police officer he was not taking my complaint seriously. I had understood it was 2021. I had understood there was something going wrong. Maybe I stopped the idea of being a diplomat. I had before stopped thinking about security personnel. I was having 1 day in Hamburg, 1 day in the Rhine area, Ruhrgebiet, and 1 day or half a day in the south of Germany with the traffic police. And I had a day here and there looking to have something, and it was only in German a Praktikum. It was look into without pay, do something or follow another. And I was even to France to look if I could work on the European level, but that was stopped because this was 1992, because she was called pretender, Hochstapler. And I had followed that allegation a little bit, and it was underlined that this now is pretending. In the earlier days it was said from high officials, that was the North Rhine-Westphalia, I think it was Mr. Laschet's office, or himself, I don't know, because those looked different to newspaper. I understood, someone else said, I was a little bit hearing and asking like a detective why he was not positively enough to look more after that idea. I was later to an embassy, and there they asked, and the answer came back, there is no name registered, so I could not contradict the allegation to my mother that she was pretending. In earlier days it was said it was a custom, they filled in the place for noblewoman, for a noblewoman or noble women. He was somehow related to, I was always in the resistance mode to doing things right, but with the brain. I had never used force, and in no way it was necessary to arrest me. So this must have to do with the friction in this town, or even in the country, because resistance in the Third Reich was considered traitor being or behavior, a traitor behavior. Then it was officially said, no, that is rather good, but it was not inside of the population. And I don't know, this was about a student I did not know very much. We had a little letter writing in school, like you do as a boy, to write a girl a letter, piece of paper, and it was nothing serious. She was called Erika, and it was, I think, the 7 or 8 there, Russian Latin, that was high school, 7th, 8th, I think the 7th. And they were playing something like hidden camera, as I were engaged to her, and I said, no, this is much too early. And then the other said, you broke our hopes, because they were in a group that was somehow having parties with Erika. I knew her only from class. She was special. She stayed in the classroom during breaks, and I even did not want to stay with her because I did not want it to be too close. I think I was 14, 15 years, and I said no. When the cameras were put there, I had to sneak my way in because teachers were looking around like it was a special event, and so I did something that the teacher had to look the floor on another side, and I could sneak in on the other, something like it, nothing extraordinary. This was not an engagement, but for some months the others did not speak with me, as if I had done something wrong, and I didn't. I went to the head of the school, and he was somehow related to Mr. Laschet, and so his attitude was negative. I can't say there was something criminal, but look, this is the whole situation. This is only an example. It goes further. Then there was Mr. Pistorius. He was in the culture ministry for schools and so on, and someone wanted to do good to me, and he gave money to the culture ministry, but it did not come to me, not one penny. Mr. Pistorius somehow, he was later head of the city, the mayor, and now defense minister. So I must go open, because I think I'm somehow a stumbling block for others. But I did nothing wrong, because, as I cannot say to you, in the protocol to this I regard it as a false arrest, but the protocol says I was having a stick and trying to hit policemen, hitting policemen and resisting arrest, but I didn't. I was following, but I was loud. I was yelling, so bystanders came, and I think that was right. They with the telephones, they cameras filmed. This is important. Why a false protocol? False protocols and forced hospital stay, and I had no treatment but forced tranquilizers. And now I maybe it is far-fetched. This is important. It is far-fetched. It is detective work. Now we have 2024. I did show you the date. I'm not a man. 20. Detective work. Why? Suspicion. Manufactured. Errors. There was the school event. What was interesting me, I was a boy, very much on my own. I had asthma and was having allergies, reactions. This is not something I thought, okay, let the people talk and have their fun. I'm not following. And I had a discussion with the head of the school, Mr. Schmidt, and he was somehow related to Mr. Laschet, and he was not positively. So that is nothing to go to court. And now I'm not even trusting the work done in the system, because maybe it was false, or it was an identity mixture. In times before there had been, and this was with no follow-up. No follow-up. It was something where mothers and fathers said, they misunderstood the situation. Supposedly I was having fathered a child, but I didn't. This was against my moral identity, and I didn't. I have not fathered a child, I can give it to you. But I said before, I had not been abroad. This is right as well, because having been abroad, civil man, I had guest ridings to other parts of the world, but for me it wasn't abroad because I did not go through customs, and I was ordered to forget about it. It was diplomatic, I don't know, child training to see how it works. I don't know, this was maybe abroad, something that was built on the name of my mother, father, maybe others. but it was not traveling, it was going with someone. And abroad there is the diplomatic position of prince. Prince is a leader of a group. If it was something else, I did not had the idea. Abroad, in foreign countries, it is different. No follow. It was rumors. And the other, he was interestingly looking such alike that a postman, he once said, "Oh, I had given you the letter before. How come you're now here before your house?" Our house is a little one, far back, and he was having his route. This is a house, and here, this is the street. Policeman had somehow thought I was having there a room and living with a girlfriend, and he had his route, something like this. And then when he saw me here, he said to me, "Go back there, someone else got your letter." And I went there, and they took it lightly. And then I had to complain. And this postman said to me, "Now I have lost my job," but nothing else. He cannot give letters to someone else. I don't know how often he did it before, because they were important letters. And put this all together, you come to conclusions. But my name is now maligned so much. Name, a bad name you can call it. And now they do not even answer. And that in 2024. But how long is this attitude from government? Not to answer me. False attitude from government. Is that now something they do for politicians, so they don't have a bad name, but I have to give up my own? I now come to the conclusion that it is possible that, for example, Mr. Laschet and Mr. Pistorius and maybe Mr. Wolf, the head of the government of Germany, the Bundespräsident, he's from Osnabrück too, maybe they had to talk with wrong identity. Who can do that? And you have written books. Is that opposed? Who can do that? Nearly everyone who invests much money. You ought to have a group, a big one, not with one or two, you can't do it. And who could be interested? All who would be interested to follow into the steps of my own, very own parents. This is Fritz Johann, and this is my first mother and my second because of pregnancy sharing for medical reasons. And this is my raving mother, and he's short. He was the man who offered to caddy from VW in a brown, an ugly brown color, and this was a little joke, serious joke. I said, make it a little bit cheaper, so maybe the soldiers have a chance. But them you can say it is a good disguise in darkness. So I was very innocent child, and of course I had a normal being raised. A normal, it is normal behavior that you test out things. I was then of age, but I did not think it was too bad. to give them a good color and maybe 2,000 euros less. And brown is a good color. It's like the earth. Here it was that someone from the diplomatic corps of Britain was here in my house, and we talked about West and East, and I had something as a child to test out what area I wanted to work, but I had so much opposition from Germany that it was not working out, and I'm not too much interested in the formal prerequisites. They put PhDs and else in front, and because of my illnesses I was not able to go to a normal university. It is crowded, and you are there alone. And now I come to conclusions that my ancestry was on both sides. This is my mother. She had maybe a stillborn in America during the Father Knows Best series, but she had no child. He was stillborn or not even born, but she was having a crisis, and she did say, "It is not your child," and I say, "I have no brother. But please look into it, if their brother, maybe she was regarded a princess. Look into it. I'm not saying that I would fight that man if there is someone, but maybe I would try, because my rights are at stake. Or do you think I have to follow politician ideas to give up without any fight? And this is me as a little boy. Was on the Galapagos Islands. With whom? She was a day-caring mother. Was she from the Netherlands? Do others there's opposition inside the country? Maybe, don't know, she must be a little bit older now as well. She was maybe 25 when I was 2, 1970. Who is of that semester? And maybe, it's not strange, it comes to mind, the diplomatic forces of other countries were interested. I was asked from someone on the island about Canada, if I would be interested later to work in that area. Then there was a call about this part, and it was about Zanzibar, and it was trouble with the Netherlands. There was something built and they were not allowed to go in. But it was always something I was asked, I was put into, and it was me alone, I was put into trust by my mother. And it was all abroad. Inside of the country she was not allowed to work anymore. I can remember there were state officials talking to her like she was about to be arrested if she did anything. But abroad, I can remember there was North Africa, there was a film, and she said they misused the information where a place would be for this movie, and they drank alcohol, and she said, this is too far. Something has to be made so that my name and your name is not maligned, but I had never the chance to solve this problem. And there was something with the Suez Channel. I could remember other things about Brasilia, the main city. And there was the Panama Channel, that was not me working there. That was done by, I don't know if those two. Then there was a yellow submarine. I had the idea they could test out the new battery motors and the quietness, and the chance to change the identity mark of fishing boats, so as a disguise to use that, and then follow the regulations. They were civil, because it was testing voyage, and they went up the Thames, and the Bobby was thinking, oh, was it too much yesterday? There was a yellow submarine, and we got in trouble, but I was underage, and I did not think too far. I wouldn't do that anymore. In that regard, the color is wrong. Yellow is not the right one, but the other regulations were all followed. And then, as a thank you, the third name of my mother, and now I see Charlotte. That is, what is that? She is a pretender? But I cannot talk to anyone. You see, I cannot talk to anyone, because the family was always, because of attacks from the outside, with a friction. I was there alone. I wanted, of course, a good understanding with the others, but I knew they had plans. That was my mother, or also Johanna, and this is her second, or one of her 3 Christian names, and she was allowed to write this book. I think it is the right one. There was another put on the market immediately to draw away attention, and that was so much changed, she said, that it is nearly not recognizable what she had wanted to bring inside of the novel, between the lines, to the open. So there was opposition, but I'm not a man who is starting with opposition. I'm rather someone we had through the diplomatic network that was still in place, the chance to help. And though there was a woman going to Russia, and of course that is here, Russia, I don't know where it was. She was working with dogs, and then she came back, and she said, when I look at you, you would rather be someone wanting to hold together the pack. I don't know if that was good or not good, but I do not want to be put in a box. So this video is about mistaken identity. It is right. I said under oath I had not been, and I said to my best knowledge, this is part of the formula, but I'm sorry, I had forgotten that I had not been traveling, but I was put as third man, as a little one, and I had the guest bed in many places, and there was Alaska as well. And then I can still remember that a question was if they would stop putting the governor on his chair. Is that true? Was that from Britain? Was they putting governors on the chair, on the Vorsitz, in the chief position of Alaska? I was once in the USA, and I would like to straighten that out. There was a man, he was specialized to understand if someone had been born in the US. And he was giving me paper, I had to pronounce it, and he said most likely I was born in the US, and the day-caring father there in the US, he said, no, he was born in Germany. And I always heard that, and I followed that idea. He was then losing his reputation. You understand? when it now is a case, it is proven that I had been born in the US, this man was right. And then the Panama Channel, I could tell you a little bit about that, but it is of course for me that I filter things. I cannot tell you what I overheard about problems. Peru, I could tell you a little bit, and about Pinochet, this strange colonia. Then Mr. Stroessner. So my mother was working in the diplomatic corps, not anymore. She said she was helping out, but I regard that as important work. She was a helper. She did not raise income by that. They promised her something for me. Her ankle, she said. Others thought, oh, if you are the ankle, how big is her fist? But ankle, she always said, mein Enkel. That was, for the outward, it was a name for me, her son. But she had to disguise somehow. I want to find out why. And I could go to other places. No, about China I can't say anything. This is not allowed. There was an attack on the Mercedes. So thank you very much. Till next time.